Bihari Radha Madhava Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivara Dhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivara Dhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivara Dhari Jaya Gopi Jana Yashodanandana Brajadana Rangana Yashodanandana Brajadana Rangana Jamuna Tira Vanasari Jamuna Tira Vanasari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivara Dhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivara Dhari Yashodanandana Brajadana Rangana Yashodanandana Brajadana Rangana Jamuna Tira Vanasari Jamuna Tira Vanasari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Jaya Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Radhe, 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 Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada, Gaura Pimanandi. Jayam Vishupad Paramahamsa Tri Vrajgacharya Stotra Satya Sri Srimad His Divine Grace Shalabai Charanarvind Bhaktivedanta Swami Svera Prabhupada Ki Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Skandi Biti Founder Charya's Divine Grace Shila Prabhupada Ki Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Samabhata Bhakti Vrinda Ki Harinam Sankirtan Ki Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Janitai Gaura Pimanande. All gladies to be assembled devotees, all gladies to be assembled devotees, all gladies to be assembled devotees. All gladies to Sri Guru and to Sri Gauranga, all gladies to Sri Prabhupada ki. Om Agyanatimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Taksurindaritam Jena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Dutta Padakamalam Sri Gurun Vaisnavam Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Ragunatan Vitam Tvam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Sri Visakanditam He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostete Tapta Kancana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Suti Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vansakalpa Tirubhyasya Kripa Sindhu Vyaivacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narotamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayat. Before now, let us first offer respectful obeisances unto Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta Prayasabdeshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttamaśloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki. By regularly hearing the Srimad Bhagavatam and by rendering a service unto the pure devotee, all that is troublesome within the heart becomes destroyed or practically to nil, and a loving devotional service unto the Supreme Lord who is praised with transcendental songs becomes established as an irrevocable fact. Idam Bhagavatam Nama Puranam Brahmasamitam Uttama Sloka Charitam Sakara Bhagavan Rishi Nishreyasaya Lokasya Dhanyam Swasyayanam Mahat. This Srimad Bhagavatam, known as the Grantaraj, the king of all Vedic literatures, is the literary incarnation of God. It is compiled by the incarnation of God God, the Srila Vyasadeva. It is meant for the ultimate of all people. It is all successful, all blissful, and all perfect. Sri Krishna Chaitanya
Shri Krishna Chaitanya,
Prabhu Nityananda
Prabhu Nityananda,
Sri Advaita Gadadhara
Shri Advaita Gadadhara,
Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda
Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda,
Hare Krishna Hare Krishna
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Krishna Krishna Hare Hare
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare Rama Hare
Hare
Rama
Rama, Hare Rama,
Rama
Rama Rama, Hare
Namo Bhagavate Devaya
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya,
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya,
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya,
Om Sarabhyai Namaha
Om Surabhyaya Namaha,
Om Sarabhyai
Om
Namaha
Surabhyaya Namaha,
Om Sarabhyai Namaha
Om Surabhyaya Namaha.
Mukam karoti vachanam panguvatamaham bande Sri Gurum Dinataranam Yat Kripatamaham bande Sri Gurum Dinataranam Hare Krishna. Welcome to our morning Bhagavatam class, continuing at chapter 9 from the first canto, chapter entitled The Passing Away of Vishnudev. Today, text number 11. Pandu
Pandu
Putran
Putram
Upasinan
Upasinam
Prasraya
Prashaya
Prema
Prema
Sangatan
Sangatan
Abhyachasta Nuragasvair
Abhyachastanuraga
Andhe Bhutena
Andhi Bhutena
Chakshusha
Chaksusa
Pandu Putran Upasinam
Pandu Putranuna
Prasraya Prema Sangatan
Prashaya Prema Sangatan
Abhyachasta Nuragasvair
Abhyachastanuragastai
Adhibhutena Chakshusha
Adhibhutena Chakshusha
Pandu Putran Upasinam
Panduputranupasinam
Prasraya Prema Sangatan
Prasaya Prema Sangatan
Abhyachasta Nuragasvair
Abhyachastanuragastai
Adhibhutena Chakshusha
Adhibhutena Chaksusa
Pandu Putran Upasinam
Panduputranupasinam
Prasraya Prema Sangatan
Prasaya Prema Sangatan
Abhyachasta Nuragasvair
Abhyachastanuragastai
Andhi Bhutena Chakshusha
Andhibhutena Chaksusa Panduputranupasinam
Pandu Putran Upasinam
Panduputranupasinam
Prasraya Prema Sangatan
Prasraya
Prasaya
Prema
Prema Sangatan
Sangatan
Abhyashtanuragaksha
Abhyachasta Nuragasvair
Abhyachastanuragasrai
Andi Bhutena Chakshusha
Andhi Bhutena
Andhibhutena Chaksusa
Chakshusha
Panduputran Upasinam
Pandu Putran
Panduputranupasinam
Upasinam
Prasraya Prema Sangatan
Prasraya
Prasaya
Prema
Prema
Sangatan
Sangatan
Abhyachastanu रागैस्त्रैर्
Abhyasastanuragasya
अन्धीभूतेन चक्षुषा
Andhibhutena chakshusha
पाण्डुपुत्रानुपासीनान्
Panduputranupasinan
प्रश्रय प्रेम संगतान्
Prasraya prema sangatan
अभ्यचष्टानुरागाश्रय
Abhyasastanuragasrair
अन्धीभूतेन चक्षुषा
Andhibhutena chakshusha
पाण्डुपुत्रानुपासीनान्
Panduputranupasinan
प्रशाय प्रेम सङ्गत
Prasraya prema sangatan
भचष्टानुरागश्रै
Abhyasastanuragasrair
विभूतेन चक्षुषा
Andhibhutena chakshusha Pandu. The late father
the late father
of Maharaj Yudhishthira
of Maharaj Yudhishthira
and his brothers,
and his brothers
Putran,
Putram,
the sons of
the sons of
Upasinan,
Upasinan,
sitting silently nearby,
sitting silently nearby.
Prasraya,
Prasaya,
being overtaken,
being overtaken.
Prema,
Prema,
in feelings of love,
in feeling of love.
Sangatan,
Sangatam,
having gathered,
having gathered.
Abhyasasta,
अभ्यासस्ता
congratulated,
Congratulated.
Anuraga,
Anuraga,
feelingly,
feelingly.
Asrai,
Asrai,
by tears of ecstasy,
by tears of ecstasy.
Andhibhutena,
Andhibhutena,
overwhelmed,
overwhelmed.
Chakshusha,
Chakshusha,
with his eyes.
with his eyes.
Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki. The sons of Maharaj Pandu were sitting silently nearby, overtaken with affection for their dying grandfather. Seeing this, Bhishma Dev congratulated them with feeling. There were tears of ecstasy in his eyes, for he was overwhelmed by love and affection. Kindly repeat after me. The sons of Maharaj Pandu
The sons of Maharaj Pandu
were sitting silently nearby,
were sitting silently nearby,
overtaken with affection
overtaken with affection
for their dying grandfather.
for their dying grandfather.
Seeing this,
Seeing this,
Bhishma Dev congratulated them with feeling.
Bhishmadev congratulated them with feeling.
There were tears of ecstasy
There were tears of ecstasy
in his eyes,
in his eyes,
for he was overwhelmed
for he was overwhelmed
by love and affection.
by love and affection.
Purport. When Maharaj Pandu died, his sons were all small children, and naturally they were brought up under the affection of elderly members of the royal family, specifically by Bhishma Dev. Later on, when the Pandavas were grown up, they were cheated by cunning Duryodhana. And Bhishma Dev, although he knew that the Pandavas were innocent and were unnecessarily put into trouble, could not take the side of the Pandavas for political reasons. At the last stage of his life, when Bhishma Dev saw his most exalted grandsons, headed by Maharaj Yudhishthira, sitting very gently at his side, the great warrior could not check his loving tears, which were automatically flowing from his eyes. He remembered the great tribulations suffered by his most pious grandsons. Certainly, he was a most satisfied man because of Yudhishthira's being enthroned in place of Duryodhana, and thus he began to congratulate them. Translation again. The sons of Maharaj Pandu were sitting silently nearby, overtaken with affection for their dying grandfather. Seeing this, Bhishma Dev congratulated them with feeling. There were tears of ecstasy in his eyes, for he was overwhelmed by love and affection. So, as mentioned here, the Pandavas, from a very young age, were without their father. Pandu died at a very young age, which left them, uh, we could say, at the mercy of others when one is not protected. Uh, and being part of the royal families, so they were taken care of, they were protected. But the person who especially gave them uh, his care and his attention and his love was grandfather Bhishma Dev. So it means he had a very deep, long-standing relationship with these uh, five Pandavas whom he saw, you know, growing up. And and here it mentions that for political reasons, he, although was fully supportive of the Pandavas and knew that they were on the side of, dharma, and the opposite was the case for Duryodhana. He was not following actually the principles of dharma. He was constantly in rival or at rival with the Pandavas um, throughout. Um, well, as soon as they took shelter, um, when Pandu passed away, that scene is there. They're all small boys, and they're coming with their mother to take shelter of Duryodhana and Dhritarashtra. And from that very moment, this rivalry means like competition, and Duryodhana especially. Duryodhana was the main person, very much because he was proud and um, because he was uh, motivated in so many ways. So, so the Pandavas, as we know, throughout their whole life, actually, especially after their father Pandu left them, had to go through so many difficulties. We call it trials and tribulations. And grandfather Bhishmadev, he knew about all of these things, but he couldn't do very much. Uh, so he developed this very naturally, just like we were discussing yesterday. The father has affection for his children. The grandfather has even greater, greater attachment, greater affection. So this was the case actually with grandfather Bhishma Dev. And so it was a long, very long, we could say, battle. Even even before the battle of Kurukshetra was a long struggle, we could say, for finally, you know, bring justice so that Yudhishthira Maharaj, and it it took the battle of Kurukshetra to actually make this happen. Um, so grandfather Bhishma Dev, who had so much um, of deep love and affection, he was, as being described here, um, just very naturally. Uh, here it mentions he was congratulating them. It means that you've gone through all of these different tests. Krishna has tested you from the time you lost your father, isn't it? So, mm, so for actually many, many years, uh, Arjuna was about the same age as Krishna, isn't it? So when the battle of Kurukshetra took place, how old was Krishna?
125 years.
No. Uh, How old was Krishna? Oh, yeah. 125 minus 30. Huh?
30.
95.
Okay.
95. 95.
95.
You don't believe me?
95.
He's looking as if, no.
Pochanabhi.
Why? Because, anyways, he was 95. That means that, I don't know exactly how old Arjuna was when he lost his father, Pandu. Well, maybe 10, something like that.
Not 10, Maharaj. Below 10.
Even, okay,
Below 10.
okay. So, let's say even 10,
Yeah.
you know, so 95 minus 10,
80 years.
80, 85.
85 years.
So, and if it's lower, then it's more than 85. For close to 90 years, the Pandavas were hassled, were put into all kinds of problems. That's a long time. So, but they remain, you know, staunch devotees of the Lord. They were always on the side of dharma, and it means that when this is what Krishna says, or actually not Krishna, Sanjaya Uvacha, isn't it? The very last verse in the Bhagavad Gita. Whoever is a devotee of the Lord, whoever is on the side of dharma, that he will come out victorious. All wealth, all morality, all opulence. It's close by, so we can just read it. This is the conclusion, actually, of another personality who was knowing and watching and seeing all this. Yeah, the last verse, which is 78. Yatra Yogeshwara Krishno, Yatra Partho Dhanur Dhara, Tatra Shrir Vishayo Bhutir, Dhruva Nitir Matir Mama. Wherever there is Krishna, the master of all mystics, and wherever there is Arjuna, the supreme archer, there will also certainly be opulence, victory, extraordinary power, and morality. That is my opinion. Sanjaya's. So this was the case, and Sukmadev had all of these memories, and therefore is congratulating them for having come out victorious, and naturally the Pandavas, they had, we could say, special affection for him because they lost their father. So Bhishma Dev became like their father figure, and he was caring for them in so many ways. And in this way, it is setting the scene for Bhishma Dev to, out of great love and affection, um, uh, understanding also that now that Yudhishthira Maharaj will be enthroned, so in order to, in the last few days of his existence, Bhishma Dev wants to just, we could say, saturate him with good instructions, because that's the whole, that whole section in the Anusasana, Parva, yeah, is having most important instructions. So that means that those who are, Bhishma Dev was a Kshatriya, isn't it? Kshatriya. So Kshatriyas are meant to also deeply understand, because one of their, the first and foremost responsibility, what's the first and foremost responsibility of a Kshatriya?
To take care of the people in general.
Yeah, protection. There are three main duties actually of Kshatriyas. One is called, it's like PAW, paw. You know what a paw is? Yes. If you ever meet up with a tiger or a bear, he'll show you his paw.
Panja.
And if you're not careful, he'll catch you and eat you up. Paw. So, Kshatriya, P is protection. So, protection of physical protection and also protection of dharma, upholding the principles of dharma, protection of land, property, protection of cows. So, protection, it's a lot, you know. Yeah.
Protection, so many things will fall.
Yes, so it's like a tremendous responsibility to be in that position of a leader of a country, isn't it? Yeah, and therefore many years, many years of training was needed in the Vedic culture, and that's all nicely, that's the type of training and curriculum that is needed to actually produce individuals who are highly qualified. Um, then A. A stands for administration. Kshatriyas, they are the ones who are meant to organize society. They are meant to govern, to administer, isn't it? Every country has different administrative buildings, especially like in Calcutta, Delhi, of course, which is the capital of Bharat. Uh, so administration is most important, which is another form of protection, actually. When there is good systems, when there are good policies, when there are good principles of governance, and of course, central to good governance is the system of of Varna and Asrama when it is properly understood. In other words, the ideal way to govern people, the ideal system of governance um, is actually the system of Varna and Asrama. And unless one, the preliminary, mm, um, we could say, uh, what is needed in order to for that system to be successful is that people within that system have to agree, have to understand, have to accept what is the primary goal and objective of life, which is self-realization, Vedic culture. So if one doesn't agree to that, if one doesn't believe that that God is there, that the purpose is to become self-realized and to prepare ourselves to go back home, back to Godhead, then one will find so many reasons to reject this particular system. Because this particular system, ashram, all of the ashrams, brahmachari ashram, grihastha ashram, vanaprastha, sannyas, means every phase of one's life is meant for that same purpose, to become self-realized. And every ashram is helping individuals to attain that goal. Yes. So protection, administration, and the third responsibility of kshatriyas is W.
Right.
Well, it's welfare,
Oh,
to provide, well, in case, whenever there are calamities, at any time there can be famine, there can be drought, there can be floods, uh, and people are put into difficulties unless you have like a strong, uh, well organized government which has resources, isn't it? Just like in India, we see when we travel, they have in different places. I think in every district, um, well, definitely in every state, probably in every district, they have these big go downs where they keep grains, isn't it? And when there is some difficulty, then they will, yeah. Just like in the Vedic culture, uh, Prabhupada explains that, yeah, those who are farmers, they would they would have their little what they call silo. We see them here in Mayapur. We want to make one for here actually. You know the silo in America, they have big silos. Silo is where you keep your grains. I don't know what the term is in in in, in Bengali, or it's a round thing. It's a little bit up from the ground,
yes.
and it's very nice. Looks very attractive.
Gola,
Gola,
Bengali.
Bengali, huh? Gola, Gola,
Yes.
Gola. Okay. You know how to make gola?
I don't make, did not make, but
You can find somebody who knows. Of course,
Mhm.
yeah, yeah. They're everywhere here. When we leave
My
Mayapur,
father used to put the rice paddy into that
yes, gola.
gola in in terms of Bengali,
Yes, yeah, correct. Yeah,
and in Telugu language it is called as uh,
you forgot your Telugu.
no, just I said him just when he said
Gola got you confused.
gade
Gade,
gade
gade,
gade.
gade, gola. Uh, yeah, same principle. I
Yeah.
mean, all over India, different name, but same purpose. Yeah, mostly, and they do it in such a way that there's no animals that can go in there,
Yes.
and because grains, when you harvest, grains are meant to be kept for 1 year.
Yes.
Should not eat the grains should not
Immediately.
cook immediately.
Immediately.
Yeah. So Prabhupada would explain that every family in the villages, they used to have a stock for at least 1 year or 2 years. You know, so that's beside. Government also has its stock
Yes.
of grains, and you see this in these.
FCI code on Food Corporation of India.
There we go. Food, Food Corporation of India. Yeah, correct. So these are the. It means that actually, when we read the responsibilities and all of the different activities of kshatriyas, mm, then there is, uh, Justice Department, law and order, you know, for which you need the military, for which you need the army, so many things. So all of this requires a lot of paisa, money. So therefore, taxes are needed, you know, and that's why government doesn't like when people evade taxes, naturally. So grandfather Bhishma Dev, although, well, not although, but because he's a real Kshatriya, so he could speak on dharma, on the principles of dharma. So that means that actually in the Vedic culture, not only Brahmanas are knowledgeable, but also Kshatriyas. But Kshatriyas are less knowledgeable generally. Bhishma Dev was an exception, we could say, because he's the reincarnation of Jamaraj, uh, and he's also counted as one of the Mahajans. So actually, those three natural leaders, the Brahmanas, the Kshatriyas, and also the Vaishyas, because they are in the category of what is called Dvija. So they also know about Dharma. Uh, and because they are all having opportunity actually to go to Gurukul. Um, but those who spend more time and who study more deeply the subject matter are the Brahmanas. Then the Kshatriyas, less time, like that. But they are all knowing about the principles of Dharma. And this, of course, will be demonstrated very nicely as we hear the various very um, elaborate, we could say, instructions on so many different uh, subject matters in relation to Dharma for the, to actually, mainly, the whole, this will be explained later on, it's already Prabhupada touched on this previously. All of this will be to actually bring comfort, especially to Yudhishthira Maharaj and to all the Pandavas, but especially to Yudhishthira Maharaj, who will now be assuming this most important role and duty, responsibility, to be uh, the head of the government, to be not only a king but actually to be emperor for the whole world. Mm. So in this way, Grandfather Bhishma Dev, um, he's getting ready to leave his body. He knows his time is soon um coming, and uh, simply by the Pandavas were just, it says here, silently, you know, very momentous uh, time of one's life on on the verge of leaving one's body, and um, even in that very difficult situation, Grandfather Bhishma Dev is fully alert, as we can see here, and he's remembering um, all of the it mentions here. He remembered the great tribulations suffered by his most pious grandsons. Yeah. And definitely he was, uh, yeah, this mentioned here, he was very happy. He was very satisfied that finally, isn't it? Finally, after all of these years of torment and suffering, that his grandchildren, the Pandavas, headed by Yudhishthira Maharaj, have come out victorious. And it's like that that brings him naturally great satisfaction. And out of his natural long-standing love and affection for the Pandavas, he will very lovingly speak um, and very extensively also. Any thoughts or comments on this? Yes.
Here, Pandavas were put into troubles and so many difficult situations
Yes.
for 85 years, long time,
Approximately, yeah. Right.
approximately.
Yeah, long time.
It's long time,
It's like whole life.
whole life. So, uh, being a devotee or devotees were put into the same situations for some time because of some services or something else. Uh, Devotees would feel that why these tribulations have come to me, and
I'm a devotee now.
yeah, we are like
Why
so
this happens to devotees?
yeah, happens to devotees, and how do the devotees have to take that tribulations,
How to handle that?
handle that, and what to learn from that.
You have to handle it with both hands.
Yeah, we we have no thoughts at that time, means we cannot counteract that, counter them.
So there's a nice prayer. I'm sure you've heard it before, um, whereby it is nicely explained that the surrendered devotees of the Lord, because they are fully surrendered to Krishna, uh, they happily accept whatever trials and tribulations come their way, uh, knowing that this is connected with something in the past that I have done. So they patiently and with tolerance also um, remain fixed uh, in their being surrendered to Krishna, and they just accept these things, knowing that it is uh, a higher arrangement, and actually devotees mm, understand more than anyone else that the very fact that we have come here in the material world means we have been offensive. We have been, um, we actually, yeah, this is what Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur expresses. The greatest sin, the greatest, what is it in French, is gaffe, the greatest fault of the living entities is to have rejected Krishna. Otherwise, we would not be here, isn't it? Somehow or other, we have broken our eternal, what is meant to be, our eternal relationship with Krishna. And so, so a devotee that there's a verse that is explaining like this. He simply patiently accepts whatever situation is created, which is ultimately ordained uh, with the understanding it is due to my uh, having committed whatever offenses that I am having to suffer in this way. And he accepts that um, and remains, as a matter of fact, it becomes even a greater impetus for that devotee to surrender more and more to Krishna. Just similar to what we were reading in the previous chapter, Queen Kunti Devi, isn't it? And let these calamities happen again and again so that I can increase my love and affection in my I can become more and more surrendered. I can take more and more shelter of your lotus feet. Yeah. Because actually, when we are in that in that deep consciousness of being of feeling sheltered by Krishna, of taking actual shelter of the Lord, then we feel protected, even though so many awkward situations may be there.
Your question put me other question. What does it mean being a devotee?
Yes.
And you know that there are different type of devotees. There are one devotee who accept Lord and want to serve the Lord, but doesn't know really
Yes.
how to
Yes.
serve and associate with others.
Yes.
And the other devotee knows how to associate with others and know the Shastra, but not really perfectly everything.
Yes.
And have some doubts somewhere,
Yes.
you know. And the other is Uttam Adhikari who just everything he knows and sees in equilibrium. So it's dependent what kind of devotee you are. But mostly, if we are practitioners, we don't have so much time to have anxiety about the problems. We have service, we have chanting, we have daily situations. When you are thinking, oh, how big calamities I have, you don't have time for that.
Yes.
And if you have time, then the previous persons like Prabhupada and others, you remember that they have much more difficulty. Then you have hurted your arms. You've broken your arms. No, not broken, but if I broke my arm, then I remember Joseph Goswami was torn to a well with two broken arm, broken legs. So what he did, I said, yeah, good time to change. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. And the king came and heard beautiful sound, sweet. Someone, some angel is here. He was thinking, and he looked for the well, and he was thinking, the person is broken arm, broken legs, and he's chanting and crying. And he took out him, and his doctors take care of him. So he was not really have time to think, oh, why my arm broken. You know, that's the thing that we remember, and then immediately.
How do we develop that consciousness? That type of consciousness?
Yes, it definitely cannot be artificial.
Yes. It should be natural.
Yes.
But we are unable to develop that consciousness and that surrender type.
Um,
That much of surrenderness, being a neophyte devotee, how do one develop that consciousness?
Don't remain
Every second, surrender to.
Surrender
every second,
every second.
surrender to Krishna,
Mm.
and to devotee.
Yeah.
Guru.
Actually, the process, the complete and perfect process, is given by our acharyas. It is summarized especially in the Nectar of Devotion, isn't it? The complete science,
Yes.
complete science of
Yes.
devotional service. So the more we are diligent, the more we are attentive, the more we develop a very strong desire, intense desire, to finish our business in the material world, then by applying the process slowly, gradually, that understanding, that consciousness will develop. Prabhupada gives the example that, again, in his series of lectures on the Nectar Devotion, that when a young girl or when a young, yeah, when one gets married, uh, it is natural for the young girl to, once she's married, to have a child. Prabhupada says, if she wants to have a child right away, it's not possible.
Yes.
She has to wait some time.
Yes.
And because she's married now, then in due course of time, it is natural that she will have a child. So Prabhupada gives that example to instruct that just because we got in contact with Krishna consciousness, we got married to Krishna, doesn't mean that immediately now we become overnight self-realized and on that topmost level of Paramahamsa. In due course of time, if the process is nicely followed. So therefore sadhana, and for the vast majority of jiva, majority of jivas in the material world, they become siddha through sadhana. It's called sadhana siddha, isn't it? Sometimes, but very rarely, one may become a what is called kripa siddha. But the general process for the vast majority is through sadhana. So we can never underestimate the importance. And sadhana begins a few minutes before the conch shell blows every morning.
5 minutes before. 5 minutes before. Yeah.
I think the sadhana bhakti also kripa bhakti, because bhakti comes from bhakti. So if I have some little bhakti, I can do any sadhana, but I cannot increase that bhakti. But if I associate with someone who have more bhakti or any bhakti, they can share and they can give me that bhakti. And sadhana, very important to keep that, because someone give you and then you throw it away.
Yes.
So sadhana means to prepare. If I get some bhakti, grab it and look for bhakti in a proper place. So sadhana is for that. And then the bhakti will come other devotees. I feel that.
Yes.
Sometimes we don't know why we are more happy today and yesterday. We did the same thing. But we forget that we found someone who is very nice, sweet devotee was yesterday, just 5 minutes. And then that's bhakti next day give me more and more enthusiasm. I remember yesterday it was so sweet, that association. And I much easier come here today. Much easy. I see. It's the same problem. Have a big meal, my body is not used to that. But when I woke up, oh, where are those devotees? I want to be with them. I want to be with them. And I just, no, I wanted to get again this association.
Yeah.
So association.
Yeah. Srila Prabhupada was very merciful to give us that nice exchange yesterday. It was very spontaneous, very natural.
Yogis have difficulties because they have very strong sadhana, very strict, much more strict than yours. And Mayavadis have much more strict sadhana, but they don't get this feeling because their sadhana is not inspiring them to associate with each other. They remain envious of each other. Oh, he's better. He has more mystic power. He more knowledge. But he's not coming along.
Yes.
Is Bhishmadeva incarnation of Jamraj?
Who?
Bhishmadeva?
Bhishmadev, yes.
And Yudhishthir Maharaj and Vidur also?
He is asking that is Bhishma
Oh,
Dev,
Bhishmadev.
is Bhishma
No,
Dev is
Yudhisthira is incarnation of Jamalaj.
Bhishmadeva? No.
No.
He's a Vasu.
Yeah, right.
one of the 8 Vasus.
He's the best of the Vasus.
Yeah, that's the
Described
Vasu,
as well.
leader of the Vasu.
We have a whole, what is it? Eternity to find out so many things.
Yeah, Arjuna. So Arjuna always Arjuna. Arjuna is
Yeah, how Arjuna actually, he never goes to the spiritual world
yeah,
because he's always with Krishna
he follows his.
in the material world. How is that?
He is
I mean,
constant contact.
if you're with Krishna, you're in the spiritual world.
Yes,
You know, it's like he's yeah. Yes.
So that means that Yudhishthir also follows always Krishna, but Yamaraj somehow joins to that.
Yeah. Somehow or other. Sometimes, yeah. Sometimes we get some little glimpse, and other times it's like not so easy to understand.
little dilemma.
So probably, okay, yeah, we can bring this to an end. Jai Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki
Jai.
Jai Shri Prabhupada Ki
Jai.
Gaur Premanandi.
Bhakti Raghava Swami Maharaj.